Welcome to Enchanted Moments Podcast. I'm Monica.
I'm Spencer.
And Creme Brulee, who is with us again today. We are going to chat this morning about starseeds. What would you like to know about starseeds?
I only really knew about indigo children. Is that the same thing?
It is a frequency part of it, yeah.
Interesting. I didn't realize when you would mention Arcturians and
Pleiadians.
Stevie would mention Lunarians, and there's just, I didn't know those were starseeds. Because then you mentioned...
Lunarian is really not I'm familiar with as a starseed. It's more of a frequency style thing based on the moon.
Okay.
See,
then we're going to have to talk about frequency styles too at some point.
Probably. But at this point, the difference is like indigos, crystals, rainbow children are a form of what we call starseeds, but it's based on their frequency. They're here for similar purposes. But when we talk about starseeds, we're really talking about human beings. They're not hybrids. There's a difference. There are hybrid people on this planet who are a blend of a off-planet race and humans. And they've been, some of the Greys, for example, are really big on genetics. And they've been trying to help their own race with hybridization because they have lost so much in becoming less what we would consider human, and so they're trying to get some of that back. Not to go down rabbit holes into weird shit, but sorry.
No, it opens it though. I'm immediately like...
The government was all over that, by the way. That was not something that people came and did without permission. It's not a weird theory. It's actually in documentation from the U.S. government that they have an agreement that said you could come and abduct some of our people and use them for experimentation. So, we can't blame, the alien races for doing it. We can early on. Hybrid is it? We're all hybrids, basically.
Okay.
When you get down to it, at least 11 to 12 different off-planet races had something to do with genetic changes to our composition. How about that? At some point in our history, we've tracked it back to about 200,000 years ago, is when all these changes took effect. So there's no way we could have just done the Darwinian thing and made changes over time to adapt. These were immediate, fast, and separate from those types of changes. So we are who we are because of other planetary beings. Starseeds. Starseeds are human in and of what we are, if we just want to say that, Earthlings, whatever, who have incarnated into this lifetime to do certain soul missions. And you may say, okay, you can take all these tests online, right? It says, which starseed are you? And trust me, it works okay if you've got a real source and majority of a one. Some of us who've been around a really long time have a lot. Okay, so when I first started studying with Patricia years and years and years ago.
Patricia?
Michelle.
Okay.
And she has gone to the other side now. She said I was an unusual body type because I have an AB negative blood type, which didn't show up until 20,000 years ago, primarily in the Basque region of France, which is very unusual. And then I am blue-eyed, and I also have low blood pressure and low body temperature for no physical reason. She said, oh, well, you definitely have lived somewhere else some point in time. In past life regressions, there goes Tank, I have had off-planet past lives, so I remember them. Also, I think my first incarnation on this planet was Lemuria. So it's, yeah, I'm just old.
Wait, so Lemurians aren't Starseeds? That's like Atlantis?
It's like Atlantis. It was pre-Atlantis. Who knows, basically.
Who knows? Okay,
you know, that's one I can't answer, and God knows there's probably, the goddess has millions of us out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you have low blood pressure and low body temperature and a strange blood type, more than likely this isn't your first place of living. Unless there's some disease or something that's causing it. Mine just has always been that way. And it's very weird because my mother swore that neither one of them had a negative blood type. And I'm like, okay, that's even weirder, right? Okay. But, yeah, strange. And I'm AB negative, which makes it even worse because we're less than 0.1% of the population in blood type. Yeah, special. I'm special. Anyway, so Starseeds have lived previous lives on other planets. They usually have a strong sense that they don't belong at some point in their life. Maybe not every day of their life, but at some point you were like, why? I don't feel right here. They might have increased intuition or empathy. And they usually have a strong desire to help humanity in some way. You want everybody to be okay. There are core lineages that most people are familiar with. The cats are having a blast. Anyway. Pleiadians that are from the Pleiades, which is a star system. It has 7 to 9 planets that we know of that are populated. So,
that are populated?
Yes. That basically, yes. There's plenty of plenty of people out there, or entities out there that exist. We just have chosen over our lifetimes here on Earth to pretend like they don't exist, or that we're the center of everything, right? And we are smart, and so we are the special ones. Not true, but Syrian starseeds are from planets around the star Sirius. It's considered the dog star. There's Sirius A and Sirius B. Arcturian, who are interdimensional beings. So they can present in a physical sense, but it's because they've told us in our brains to see them as a physical sense. They aren't naturally physical. Okay, but you can contact Arcturians, and they are really, if you want to start talking to off-planet beings, they're very helpful, by the way. So, I'm trying to think, what's the other one? Okay, you've heard Lyran?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, I have in the, I did a brief search one time, and I just saw a list of them.
Lyrans are, what we consider the cat people. They're present in early Egyptian art. The cat,
That's what I immediately thought of, yeah.
Yeah, the lion-headed, all the...
Segment.
Yeah, segment. So it's, yes. So we know there's been interaction with them. They're one of the older star beings that we're aware of. I mean, existence-wise. There's Orion, Andromeda, Vega, and they're all out there. I mean, if you want to really dive deep, there's a galactic council, there's all these things existing in our universe that have been watching us forever. But if you start to have feelings that you may be here for a specific reason, so if you do a lot of soul work, you know, we've talked about trying to figure out what your soul goal should be for the year, what your soul mission is, and the only way you're going to figure that out is to meditate. Because nobody can walk up and go, hey Spencer, this is your soul mission.
God, if they could though.
And if they did, I would run.
Oh,
because,
okay.
because unless they're a highly evolved being and they have the ability to look at what's going on with your soul, no. Okay? People can look at your Akashic record, which is basically the unified field, right? Everything that ever existed and will exist is in the unified field. So if someone can connect to the unified field, they could look at what your soul has been enduring over the thousands of years it's been around. But that soul mission is your contract with divine. And I think that that would be very difficult for anyone else to ascertain. And it would never feel yours if you did not get that yourself, right? Okay. The interesting thing about the descriptions of these different star beings is that most of us who are even interested in starseeds and star beings have probably had multiple different past lives. So where it says you should be, you know, your body temperature is low, blah, blah, blah. And then the next one says, and they say, well, they're usually Leo, Sagittarius, or Capricorn. Okay, then you go, okay, well, that's not me. But you're going to find pieces of many of them. One of the interesting things, and we'll get back to each one, but a good friend of mine, Sarah, who has always had this amazing affinity for mermaids, fits all of them. You know, you go through and it's like artistic. You know, she's an artist, and you know, all the things. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. She probably spent a lot of time off planet on this, you know, and then came in to do some work. Let's put it that way, starseeds who have incarnated in this lifetime are here for the transformation of the earth. They're here to help accelerate ascension. They're here to support humanity in their journeys. They're, you know, that's their job, basically. The only reason they came here, because at this point, it's not to learn a lesson. You know what I mean? It's just like, you've done all that stuff. So it's here to contribute in some way to humanity's development. So if you feel like you're a starseed, or you actually know you're a starseed, then it makes sense that, you know, we're in like healing or helpful or metaphysical or some kind of contribution, because that's what we should be doing and helping people along. Pleiadian starseeds have some characteristics. They spread love and light, which is lovely. They usually have careers in metaphysics or healing. They're often blonde with blue eyes, or their ancestry is Norse or Northern European. Makes perfect sense. I could say all of those things. However, it's not the only thing. You know what I mean? It's like interesting. Arcturians, like I said, are interdimensional beings.
But you could be an Arcturian starseed.
Yes, because you're incarnated into this lifetime.
Okay,
it's your soul.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay.
You could be, yeah. I had this one past life where we were all light beings, and one of my guides is a light being from that lifetime. And your experience is so totally different, because you just are a light being. You know, you don't have physicality, so your experience is totally different, and it's something that you can gather and for your soul development, etc. But yeah, this is a physical body. It is where we are, or I could fly. And I want to. So, they're, and like they say here, they are easily contacted through divination or channeling. It's believed Thoth lives there, that's his incarnation, basically. And they are supposedly, and I don't know for sure because I don't have a memory of it, but they're saying that fourth dimension that we go to after we transition from physical beings goes through that planet.
Yeah.
So it's a stop along the way. Makes sense, but I don't remember that. You don't fear death. Never feared death. They're compassionate, they're light workers. They often choose to hide their emotions and feelings of hurt. Driven, motivated, confident, work in architecture, science, math, or medical careers. They're leaders. Technology is a breeze. That is not true for me. As you well know, sometimes they come across as arrogant or egotistical. They aren't synchronized with their emotions. So a lot of this incarnation is working with human emotion. Their body temperature and blood pressure are low. It's not due to any physical condition. And it says they're born with darker skin. I'm as pale as you can get. But, you know what I mean? It's like you're going to find bits and pieces of things that make sense to you, and you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Orion starseeds, obviously, are from the constellation Orion. And when you say a constellation, like the Palladian constellations, the Seven Sisters, you've got Orion, Andromeda is a constellation. There are so many planets. You know, so it's like difficult because some planets are water and watery, and most, you know, so they're different, and then some are sort of dry. The Greys come from a planet that is very dry and clay-like, and it's not very gorgeous, you know what I mean? In our mind, we would think of it as not very lush. So, I mean, they have enough water to survive, but so...
Do they need water to survive?
Yeah.
Oh.
Most other off-planet beings do need water to survive. It's very constant through most, unless you're interdimensional, which you don't need anything other than, you know, being. You don't have to worry about food, etc. There's a lot of planets like Maldek, which was our asteroid belt, and going back through time, there are people who incarnate from that planet, and they have trauma and need, sometimes they come to the Earth because of the high emotional level we have here, because in all the five senses, they can heal faster. But that planet was destroyed. So everybody on it was destroyed, unfortunately. But that's our asteroid belt. And
It's Maldek.
Maldek, Maldek. And yeah, if you go through galactic history, it's a big thing. And most people who are interested in galactic history are either channeling information or you're aware of them channeling information, because it's, or people who are in constant contact with off-planet beings. Most everybody else knows more than we do, let's put it that way. Galactic history is not something that's new to them. We're babies, you know, because right, everything survives around us. Orion's.
Hello.
Small break. Okay.
Okay.
So, were we talking about Orions? Okay. They tend to be leadership. They tend to have high levels of involvement in community. And it's interesting because they have an affinity for dogs and wolves. It's very strange, but not so much lions, who are more cat-oriented. The one I want to really touch on are draconians, which we tend to group into a large category of reptilian, and they are not all created equal. Okay, reptilian races tend to either focus on everyone else or they are totally self-centered. So you would think of someone who is narcissistic as possibly having a reptilian background. They also tend to be in leadership positions. They're very strong individuals who tend to rise to the top as far as leadership. So you could have them being in different roles. So, but all of them are not the same. So, but people tend to lump them all together. They are lizard-like in their background. So they would love to be in the sun because they're technically cold-blooded. So they would be, sometimes you think of Leos. They tend to rise to the top, they're leaders, etc., etc. They love the sun. They could have a reptilian background. It doesn't mean that's a bad thing. But there are some very nasty reptilian races, and we tend to think of them as Draco, and they have this need to rule everything. So there is a race of reptilians out there who think that the third dimension is theirs and that they should be in charge of everything. Yeah, kind of just where they're coming from. And they have gone to war with other races and entities in space out there. They have destroyed planets. They have attempted to take over everything. Most of the other entities and off-planet beings protect us from that. So we have people out there who are keeping us safe because our lack of awareness. But this planet has been seeded over hundreds of thousands of years with the reptilian races who really would like to be in charge. So you just have to keep that in mind. I have some ideas about maybe who's out there right now trying to do that, but then there's the kind that are basically transformative, and who, when we think of serpents or snakes, they could be helping us make through our transformation. So we can't label everyone. That would be awful.
And important to remember for all things.
It is. Nothing is all the same way. Yeah, there's always another side. That's, we are balanced, and in this dimension there is lots of balance happening and not balance. But our goal as human beings is we like things to be balanced. So we know that there's negative energy, we know that there's positive energy, and we want to make sure that we are balancing that at all times. So one special thing about starseeds, and people use the term light worker. Light workers are interdimensional beings who've incarnated, so they come from a variety of backgrounds. They're not from a specific place or time. But like every other starseed, they're here to increase our ability to make transitions, transformations through ascension, our spiritual development. That's what they're here for. And a lot of light workers are also considered healers, and they have strong healing abilities. So I would suspect Susan is definitely a light worker. She has a very high emotional content, and that's not a negative thing at all. It's beautiful. But you'll see people who tend to not be as grounded. And she's a Capricorn, so she should have lots of grounding. So that you have to kind of go, yeah. Anyway, starseeds are important. They are out there. They may be aware of who they are and may not be aware of who they are. Take a test online. What you'll do is you'll take a test on Tuesday and it'll say you're a Palladian, and you take a test on Wednesday, it'll say you're Arcturian, and that's probably just because you've been around a while. You're not going to find there are people who are going to find that that's where they originated, and that's cool. Not a problem at all. That's wonderful that they made the choice to incarnate and help now. So just go there if you'd like. So when you hear people talk about starseeds, that's what they're talking about. Just off-planet incarnation. It could be the first time that they lived on that planet forever and then decided to come to Earth to help. If they were from Maldek, they probably came here to heal, and then they can use their skills to help support Earth. It's very, it's wide open. You know, you have to stop thinking in terms of this is it. You know, and that's hard. It's hard because we're asking people to really stretch those comfort zones. You know, and it's not scary. It should be comforting because all these beings are here to be helpful, and all these beings, off-planet beings, are in space trying to make sure that we're okay, and mostly that we present and have our evolution as it's supposed to be on this timeline. There's other timelines, and that's another thing we just don't get a grip on. Is that time is such a constraint that we've created here in the third dimension to manage ourselves. It has nothing to do with reality. So we create this reality, right, so that we can manage. But time for others is not the same. Early incarnations on this planet lived hundreds of years. They treated their bodies differently, and their emotional states, everything was higher vibration. So things didn't deteriorate as quickly. We have just constantly lowered our vibration over time, and this is where we are right now. It's where we're supposed to be, so it's not a negative thing, but you know, we just don't have the same physical properties and frequencies that we had in the past. So it's our job to always be thinking about our frequency and what can we do to increase it, because that's really going to help us through the ascension process when our frequency is going to change. Everything has a frequency. The chair has a frequency. Stones have frequencies. That's why they work with us. The crystals that we use, some are physical chemistry that interact with our body systems. Others are just frequency differences. We can change the frequencies of things by tones. We can put water in a crystal bowl and play that crystal bowl, and even distilled water will have stuff come out of it into the bottom of the bowl. Your mom and I tried that one time, just because, you know, people say that and we are curious, and so we did it. And yes, you will get some kind of sedimentation out of even distilled water when you're increasing its frequency. The water, what's his name? Oh my gosh, Japanese scientist. He put labels on water and then took under microscopes, and it changed its crystalline structure because you put positive things on the bottles or negative things on the bottles to even, you know, to test it that way. Anyone who is going through chemotherapy or any kind of infusion should always put smiley faces on the bags that people use for that, or in positive words. You know, my body is perfect, whatever, on those bags going into your body, because it'll change the vibration of what you're getting. Lots of things, and we just don't think of everything in terms of frequency, but we should start thinking of everything. Foods. There are lower frequency foods and higher frequency foods, and the less we process them, going from, you know, raw is better, obviously. Not only for blood sugar, but because that's the natural state of that fruit or vegetable, and that's why it's going to interact with your body systems more positively. We tend to be a carnivorous race, and people have strong feelings both ways. I think there are physical bodies that need to have meat and seafood and protein that in a higher level than others. Yet you have to figure that out for yourself. So you can't go around saying don't eat meat. Well, you can, but there are some people who really, really rely on that to have a physical health situation. So we cannot, we shouldn't judge anything really. We should be open to everybody knowing what's best for them and go with that. It's trying to convince everybody that you're right is usually the problem with any kind of situation, especially regarding frequency, because people who are very committed tend to be more in your face about it, and maybe that's their position and job in this lifetime. So again, we don't want to judge that. We just have to take it for what it is and go forward. So if you know Starseeds, I'm sure we are Starseeds, you just have to kind of take that role and embrace it. We're here for all positive reasons. Just go with that. Sometimes it helps you get through the day. We're going to meet a lot of people who have different frequencies, who may not be at the same place you are, but that's your job, is to nurture that. So you have to accept everybody where they are and then do what you can to encourage their development. That's all we can do. Any other ideas on Starseeds?
I'm going to tattoo a smiley face on my forehead.
No. I'm not a fan of face tattoos. That's just me.
It's forehead. It's be fine. Hair will cover it. Do you have any channelers that you would recommend?
Wow. There are some very well-known people like Tom Kenyon. He channels Arcturians. In his one book, Arcturian Anthology, he actually provides a CD with them because he's a musician, right? And so music is a frequency that reflects a lot of what he has going on, and you can listen to it in its guided meditations for getting in touch with Arcturians. And like I said, they are very open to channeling information for you. If you have the ability to use different people for classes or online workshops, Braden, not necessarily a channeler in the sense that he's going out and getting information and bringing it back. I think he's a naturally attached to the unified field. So most of what he brings forward as information is what he has gotten from the unified field himself. There are people on, if you go to Gaia, GAIA.com, I would say that they are all vetted, if that makes sense. They have a network of teachers, channelers. There's lots of information that comes into that channel, and anything else, it may not relate to you right now. Just be discerning about what you hear. Some of it's going to sound crazy, and some of it's going to go, you're going to just go, yeah. I trust that information. There is Sonia Choquette, who was with Sylvia Brown, who I don't feel was legitimate. If she was at the beginning, she certainly went off the deep end. And that was mostly because it became about her. You can't have a lot of ego and be a legitimate channeler. So take that for what it is. She has great information. Her books are good. We usually have them, but they're through Hay House Publishing. And most of the people who are channelers or information givers through Hay House are also very higher frequency people. So yeah, she was an amazing person.
So things to look out for.
Things to look
Ego
out for.
and
Ego.
any negative kind of
Right.
messaging or judgmental.
Yes, that's not legit. There are people who channel the archangels through Summit Lighthouse. That's the organization, and they're sort of in the lineage of Madame Blavatsky on down, and started out. I don't know. I will leave it up to each person to decide for themselves, but the original work is excellent. They started, Elizabeth Clare Prophet was the last person who was in charge channeling that. The work started to be judgmental, and so I think that ego was taking in there, and so that's all I can say about that. I would say if you're not feeling it, just let it go. If it's negative, judgmental, or some kind of I kind of person, then I would say just let that one go and find something else. Because ego does not play a role in spiritual development. It's getting, and you can't get rid of ego, it's what makes us exist, but we have to be able to put it aside. That's the difference. If anybody tells you you have to get rid of ego, you'll die. I mean, that's just the I am. You are, that is who you are. But you do need to be able to put it aside when doing certain things. And channeling, you put that ego aside. It doesn't have any role. Or you're processing the information as you're receiving it instead of bringing it in directly. Because it's going through ego. Right? So you want somebody who's putting that ego aside. There is a group out there under Dr. Stephen Greer who practice what they call CE5, and it is an actual meditation practice to contact off-planet beings. They've been very successful. A lot of remote viewers use it, and you can get it online. You can get an app for your phone, and it's a meditation, and it's just designed to open the heart, because you don't want to contact beings, off-planet beings that aren't equal to the vibration of your heart. So that's the process, is to open that heart chakra to be at one with that. And you know, there's so many opportunities for us to be more. They're just out there. And if you have questions about it, or you've come across something and you want to ask, just give us a call. That's why we're here, right? To help you get through those processes. So if you've come across someone and you're not sure about them, give us a ring, send us an email, make a comment and say, oh, you didn't mention them. Well, there's so many out there, but if you have someone that you either feel strongly about positively, or you're questioning their validity, then just let us know, and we'll be glad to try to use our discernment to help you with that. So get out there and embrace the galaxy. That's my thought for the day. But thanks for sharing with us, and we will be with you next time.
Thanks.